Welcome to Conscious Living Collective, the place where we explore the fascinating intersection of science, mindfulness, and personal growth. My name is Tomek. I'm a scientist and a teacher here on Insight Timer. Please join the conversation about science, consciousness, and the inner transformation. Welcome to the session today. Today, a fascinating topic, stress and anxiety relief. Upon a request, we talk about the important stuff that have immediate impact on our well-being and a big part of conscious living. But I give you, as always, a couple of seconds to settle in. I welcome those of you who join us for the first time. Please raise your hand, virtual hand at least, through the comment section and let us know if you're here for the first time. And I can already see familiar faces. I can see Sharon, I can see Liz from Philly, Sandy, Joan, I see Adam and Anne, Mel, hello. I can see Seth. Hello, Seth. Welcome to all of you to another important session. Kenya is second time with us. Welcome, Kenya. Very important and interesting session today. I hope you can join the conversation. The purpose of Conscious Living Collective, for those of you who are joining for the first time, is to have the conversation. That sometimes we don't have opportunity to have outside of Insight Timer, or maybe you can have that conversation only in the inner circle, because the topics that we consider are not definitely a part of a small talk. These are conversations that touch upon sometimes deeper issues and can definitely touch a nerve. And the topic of stress and anxiety in our lives, I think it's a particularly potent one because it affects absolutely every single person. 100% of the population, it's affected directly or indirectly by stress and anxiety, which is simply the part of our programming. It's part of who we are. And denying the existence of stress and anxiety or trying to ignore it, it simply doesn't work. So let me once again, Kathleen from Bali, welcome. Just a couple of months ago, I visited Bali, a wonderful trip. And I wonder, where do you stay, Kathleen, in Bali? I'll be curious to know. Hello, Iris, Anne, again, Trish, Joan, Tosca. Good to see you all. So I think it is important to start this topic by defining what stress and anxiety actually is. And there are very simple definitions to it, and there are those who are more complex. But first of all, let me notice that every single of us can have a first or can recall a first experience when the stress hits and how your body responds. And I think this is an important base for this conversation, that we can translate the mental, physical, emotional stress into the bodily sensation and what it is. And that's a part of the definition of what stress is. Stress is physiological and psychological response to perceived threats or demands. And I think this is one of the most important to notice. It is not about the actual situation, actual what we feel, actual what there is, but what we perceive. And in this definition, also, there is an answer or a remedy for immediate stress that every single of us experiences throughout the day. It is a perceived response or response to a perceived threat or demand. And that is going to differ from person to person. So what is stressful for one person might as well be not so stressful to another person. And we cannot use the same yardstick to measure stress response to the same situation between two different people. So let's start with that. On the contrary, or along the stress, we have anxiety. And Anxiety, it's persistent feeling of fear, worry, and unease. So as opposed to stress, anxiety, it's more deeper. It touches upon, it's not only a response, but is already a persistent feeling of fear, worry, and unease. So how many of you actually resonate with these definitions of stress anxiety? Hello, Maureen, Kathleen. Oh yeah, we have so responses to my question. Yeah, exactly. I think we are me computers, Kathleen says, and definitely. So, like I said at the beginning, we could deny the existence of stress or wanting to eliminate stress and anxiety completely from our lives, but that simply it is never going to happen. So this session is to put stress and anxiety into its right place, onto their right place, where we can deal with it and manage it correctly, as opposed to look forward to the time in our lives where we will be completely, when we completely eliminate those two important factors of our existence. And it is also important to notice that both stress in particular, an essential aspect that in many situations help us or give us a feedback on a situation that, if persists, may be actually not good for well-being. So stress is not always not negative, but sometimes is necessary. However, having said that, we have to consider two types of stress and anxiety: acute and chronic. Acute being experiencing a stressful situation for a couple of minutes or maybe an hour and then moving away from it, versus chronic stress, when we experiencing a constant tension. I always perceive it through the sensations of my body, a constant sense of tension that actually might be nothing really extreme, but it's there like a threat underlying every single action. And perhaps this chronic mild stress, it's one of the biggest issues that we are facing these days as a humanity, because it is like something that underlies every single action. When we wake up, when we go to bed, there is a bit of a worry, a bit of anxiety. When we wake up, we start with racing mind. And that's no longer acute. That's no longer limited to just one situation or a couple of times per day, but it's kind of underlying. And one of the most listened meditations on Insight Timer that I created are those on stress and anxiety. And for those of you who experience it on a daily basis, as a matter of fact, I created a new meditation. I haven't recorded anything for a long time, so I want to say I'm a bit proud of this one. So I would like to hear your opinion about it, and perhaps have a listen and make a comment about it and tell me, what do you think, whether it works or not. Today, one of the aspects of this session, we'll be talking about how to deal with stress and anxiety, and it goes without saying that listening to guided meditations and asking for help, in a sense, in the form of guided meditation, is one of the easiest ways to manage stress. You don't have to suffer through stress and anxiety alone. Very important thing. You always must seek support, because stress and anxiety, as I tried to show you, it's not something individual, but is a collective problem that we face individually, but its entire collective is affected by it. So if you have a chance, scroll to the top of the comments, and it's simply called stress in anxiety relief. So if you type it in search bar on Insight Timer, it should come up with my picture on it. I'd be just curious to know if you like this one. This is perhaps the one time that my perfectionist pays off, because every time I create meditation, and again, I haven't created one for a very long time, I really want to pay attention to details. I want to make sure that this meditation is created really with high quality, and I deliver something that can really offer you a tangible help in the moments when you feel stressed or anxious. John says, years ago, I used to suffer with panic attacks. I'm free from them now with the help from meditations, family, and mindful moments. Thank you for sharing that, John. Again, you mentioned very important aspects of how to deal with stress and anxiety. It's mindfulness, it's friends and family, and and more of mindful moments, being aware of actually the situations when stress is happening. So, okay, so we already defined stress and anxiety and difference between the two. One being a response to something, stress being a response, but anxiety being a persistent feeling. So this is important to define and how you feel on moment-to-moment basis. It goes without saying that stress and anxiety, as I already said, may have very negative consequences on the mental, emotional, and physical well-being. But again, we should not be afraid of stress, because it's simply being a part of our collective consciousness. And sometimes it serves as a feedback if something goes wrong. It allows us to reflect. And I think part of dealing with stress is recognizing when the stressful situation try to bring us back to safety, and where the stress or anxiety is simply a perceived fear based in not actual factual situations. So one of the things, every time we bring attention from a stressful situation and when we feel anxious to ourselves, that is an act of self-care. And just a couple of weeks ago, we had an entire session on self-care and how important this actually is in our daily life, and how important it is for our daily well-being. Because without that awareness, without knowing that we require and we deserve help in the situation when we are stressed or anxious, the healing cannot happen. We cannot eliminate the source of stress. As a matter of fact, that self-awareness and self-help that comes from the stressful situation, this is one of the positive effects of stress. That very often, just this morning, I was talking to one of my clients, and he said he had to go to a court to face a speeding ticket. He hadn't had any offense for the past 10 years, so usually he's a very conscious and very conscious driver. But it happened that he exceeded a speed limit and was pulled over by a police officer. And this case ended up in court. And if you think about it, that was, he explained to me, that was a very stressful situation to him. But when we start discussing it, it actually turns out that after receiving that speeding ticket and having had to go to a court, he started driving much more carefully, started being much more aware of his speed on the road. So stress can be sometimes compared to the situations where our body, in the form of physical sensation, in the form of the feeling and emotion, gives us a sign, maybe something is not right. But self-awareness is very crucial here, because then we have to use our cognition to recognize whether this is just a perception or this is a factual thing. And it's up to you to make that choice. where the source of stress is simply because the way our personality, again, something that perhaps would not be stressful at all to other person, or is it very real? And then if it's very real, well, we have a chance to correct our situation, to change our actions, and to amend our choices, right? So again, this is that self-awareness. That's a very important part of self-care, and that both applies, as we spoke about it, both to physical, to emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. So this is not just the one layer. It's not just awareness of one thing, but it's actually awareness of multiple things as they happen in our life. Laurie says, anxiety is a symptom. Yeah, very interesting. Anxiety, as a matter of fact, may be a symptom of prolonged stress. So if we experience that low level stress that most of us accept and take for granted, oh well, it's okay to feel this way. This is simply life. Life it is. That's how life is. Just acceptance to that low level of stress over a long period of time, comes from acute to chronic, may become a source of anxiety. And anxiety then, it's a symptom of something deeper underlying that we need to address. So now perhaps the part that most of you have been waiting for. So okay, if we recognize stress and anxiety in our life, what are the ways to experience a relief from it? And partially we already mentioned it. One of them is mindfulness and awareness of what is happening in our life. And once we recognize it, that's what it is and how we experience it. One of the ways, I think, simplest way for me to deal with this acute stress, I would say, it's definitely not it's not possible to deal with it with a chronic stress, but acute stress. I usually, when I recognize there's something stressful in my life, I bring my mind from my thoughts of the stressful situation back to the body and see how I experience this acute stress on the level of the sensations in my body. So I tune into my breath, see if there's any tension. When you breathe in, when you focus on your breath, you see that your chest and belly move up and down. And you can see if they have to push against something. If they have to push against something, that is a symptom that there's something stressing you, that something is stressing you. And if you don't feel any resistance when taking that deep breath, that's usually a good sign that maybe the stressor is not strong enough, or something that you can move on from to. You can move on from. If that stress or anxiety is a bit stronger, well, anxiety usually is stronger. So again, in terms of the intensity, I think we have to say that stress can be experienced in a mild form. But if you experience anxiety, that is already something that requires a very careful attention from you. And maybe the second part, another way of dealing with anxiety and stress that I want to introduce is more accurate here, and that's breathing techniques. If you know me at all, I'm all about using 4-7-8 breathing technique. Breathe in on the count of 4, hold your breath on the count of 7, and breathe out on the count of 8. This is the way of talking to your nervous system being the first recipient of that of stress and anxiety, right? If your nervous system would not respond to a stressor, you would not feel stress nor anxiety. So in order to speak to your nervous system, 478 is one of the best ways to do it, that you can do in pretty much in any situation. Just breathe in through your nose, hold, and exhale through your mouth. And that simple 478 can not only decrease the level of stress on the level of your nervous system, but it also can bring more awareness to where you're experiencing that stress. Maybe it's in your abdomen, maybe it's your chest, maybe it's your throat, maybe it's your shoulders. You can use it almost as a diagnostic tool, and to help you to manage the perceived stress better. Because again, one of the easiest way to manage stress is not through your thoughts. It's hardly possible to talk yourself out of being stressed or having an anxiety attack. Right? If you say, don't be anxious, don't be anxious, don't be anxious, don't be stressed, don't be stressed, don't be stressed. Just by saying that, I think you can hear this is the exactly opposite to relief that we want to achieve. This actually makes situations worse. But if you start breathing, again, whether it's a 478 breathing or box breathing, 444, or any other form of conscious breathing, that can very much help you to get in touch what is the root cause of the stress on the physical level, right? Of the level of your body. So, Seth says, with respect to stress, my body usually speaks to me before my mind. That's beautiful way of putting it, Seth. Thank you so much. Your body knows the stress better than your mind. And if you practice Vipassana, mindfulness, insight meditation, you know that at the deeper level, you can recognize the thoughts in your mind. Okay, that's not the way of putting it. You recognize when you scan through the sensations that are inside of your body, you see that actually the sensation precede the thoughts that come to your mind. And remember that when you're in a state of deep meditation, you slow down very, 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 very much, so you can observe that transition from the sensation to the thought. As opposed to what we normally think, the thought starts and then it's followed by the feeling and then emotion and then mood and so forth. Yeah, Laurie, the body always keeps score. I think it's the title of the book, if I'm not mistaken. Liz, hi everyone. Wherever you are from Toronto, Canada, I hope that each and all of you are enjoying Tomic's live event and that is radiating into your body, mind, and soul and spirit. Also, that is helping you with what you may be going through in life, along with making it better. Thank you so much, Liz. That's pretty much you stated the intention behind this session. So thank you for that. So, okay, we can use breathing technique, which is for me a very powerful way of embodying. It's a very powerful way of connecting with the stress and then dealing with it this way. Another obvious one is obviously practice of mindfulness and meditation. And by mindfulness, I mean being aware that stress is present. Because, as I said before, in many situations, we simply go along with the stress and take it for granted. It's being a constant companion for so long that we forget, we stop calling it stress. We call it living. But being mindful of what is going in your life can help in itself by giving you relief to that. And obviously various meditations, including the one I already mentioned, called Stress and Anxiety Relief. Look at the name of the session, and then you can type it in you can either use link that I already posted in the comment section, or you can go to the search bar on Insight Timer, type in stress and anxiety relief, and you will get an access to my new guided meditation that, again, I'm hoping to get some feedback on, because I'm always curious to know what helps you to get over that stress and anxiety. It gives me an inspiration to create more and better guided meditations that will provide that relief that we talk about today. So definitely mindfulness meditation, given, right? That's how many people end up here on Insight Timer, searching for help, looking for a relief from acute stress, and looking for relief from anxiety. That, as we said, is a part of our daily life. Another one that is important thing, another way of relieving yourself from stress and anxiety is exercise and physical activity. So exercise and in general activity doesn't have to be going to the gym or running, but any mindful physical activity connects us with our body and has the ability of rewiring the current stress response that, again, sits on the level of your nervous system. And when you, and again, breathing, as a matter of fact, breathing can be considered a physical activity, because when you breathe, there are so many muscles in your body that have to move. All the muscles around your chest, they expand and contract as you breathe in and breathe out consciously. My entire belly moves, my diaphragm moves, the muscles around my chest move. But we can obviously expand it to taking a walk, to going to the gym, to spending time on the beach, or going in nature and taking a hike. And that's such a wonderful way of relieving stress and anxiety that might be present in your life. If you combine that exercise with being in nature, that's even better. Once again, let me remind you about the sessions from a couple of weeks ago when we spoke about the healing quality of nature. And being in nature, it's such an important part of it, right? Such an important part of helping us to deal with daily stresses. And I'm not talking about those very kind of close calls when we stop functioning. I'm talking about dealing with stress that accumulates naturally over a period of a day. Go for a walk, go for a jog, maybe go to the gym, maybe go for a hike, spend some time in nature, make a simple exercise in form of a stretch. Stretches are a natural remedy for stress that accumulates inside in our bodies, right? Those muscles tighten up. So when we stretch, we release physical tension in muscles, and through that we release stress. So we have deep breathing, we have mindfulness meditation, we have exercise and in general physical activity, but also creating for ourselves a healthy lifestyle. We cannot really expect to fill our day with very demanding and stressful activities, and then at the end of the day, trying to meditate or go for a 10-20 minute walk and think that this resolve all the situation. Really, the most important part of stress and anxiety relief is to lead a life that we limit actually those situations that we know for a fact that brings us stress and anxiety in a big amount, so to speak. So creating lifestyle habits that help us to recognize where the stress and anxiety are coming from, and then perhaps building a life as a goal, as a long-term goal, that is not so filled with those stressors. How about that? So that obviously includes things like obviously that lifestyle habits and limiting the stressor points. That's one thing, but also we have to take care of our sleep, of our food, of all those things that nourish our body to help us deal with those daily stressors. It goes without saying that I think food is the particular challenge here, because when we usually when we stressed, we tend to eat less healthy. I think it's a habit. It's called emotional eating. We try to, rather than addressing the source of the stress or the root cause of the stress, we tend to cover the stress with a layer that will just put the stress aside, help us forget that there's a stressful situation. And food is such a common way of doing it. And I raise my hand because I do it very often. It has that urge. I have that urge to cover whatever uncomfortable, stressful situation there is in my life. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to think about it, so maybe I'm gonna have something to eat, or have a coffee. Coffee, it's a big pleasure of mine. For those of you who know me, I'm crazy about coffee, and I have many different ways of brewing coffee. But at the same time, I know that I can potentially use it to escape from a stressful situation. So I'm gonna take a break from this. I don't want to deal with it right now, so I'm gonna have a coffee. So definitely those healthy lifestyle habits, like getting a good sleep, eating well, and exercising, can help us to be ready for unavoidable stress that is already present in our life. I can see there's so many comments with respect to that. Yeah, Donna says walking meditation, walking and listening to the music. Carlotta says grounding. And we definitely, it's a big yes when it comes to yoga. Yoga combines mindfulness and movement and exercise. So that's, we tick both boxes. Kathleen says dancing. I raise my hand here big time, because dancing ticks so many boxes that are beyond the stress and anxiety relief. I think dancing is, if you look at the history of our race, dance is such a powerful way to connect both with ourselves and also such a powerful way of releasing anything that is hidden inside. And it takes all the boxes, the mindfulness and exercise and breathing and healthy lifestyle. I think it ticks all the boxes when it comes to stress relief. So yeah, I'm a big fan of dancing as for many different reasons, but also as a stress and anxiety reliever. Mel says chocolate. Yeah, certainly many of us use chocolate as a stress and anxiety relief. Jeff says Tai Chi. Amazing, very powerful way of dealing with stress and anxiety. So these are kind of the strategies on the physical level, but also there are many. Maybe this is a very big topic, so I want to before we meditate, I just want to bring one more point, and the point of the ways of cognitive ways to relieve stress and anxiety in our lives. And one of these cognitive techniques that is very popular, and I'm sure you found it, many of them here on Insight Timer, is positive affirmations. So when you experience stress and anxiety, we tend to talk to ourselves in a very negative way, right? Contributing to the very stress and anxiety that we're experiencing. So next time you are in a stressful situation or experiencing anxiety, try to turn it back. And first of all, observe that negative self-talk. That's the first point, if it appears. And then try to rationalize it. If it's really something that is valid in this very moment. And notice how much The dialogue that you're having with yourself is affected by the stressful situation. And usually it goes like, oh, I'm not good enough. I feel guilty. I feel ashamed. I'm such and such. But the one affirmation that you've heard from me so many times that can be used to battle and to experience relief from the immediate stress or an anxiety is the one I took from Tara Brach. I am loved. I am worthy. I am enough. I am loved. I am worthy. I am enough. Yeah, I apologize. My phone is acting up. So this is something that we can do on a cognitive level to recognize and to address the stress in our life. Just positive affirmation, recognizing that whatever we're experiencing is just temporary, this too shall pass, and recognize that even in those situations when we are stressed, we are still loved, we are worthy, and we are enough. Or design an affirmation that works for you, because this is the one that works for me, but you can change it to whatever affirmation works for you. Be creative in that respect. So another cognitive technique to help us relieve the stress and anxiety is cognitive restructuring. So this is something that's very close to my heart as a scientist, because I like to obviously intellect is one of my most expanded parts of my personality. So I tend to use it very often, and it can be used to some extent in the situation of stress and anxiety, where we explain the process of changing negative thoughts and then replacing them with more positive and rational ones. And this is usually fairly easy to do because, as I said just a moment ago, most of the thoughts and most of the thoughts that we experience during stress and anxiety are not really rational. This is very easy to do, thinking back about situations that you were stressed about and the way you were talking to yourself. And if you're in a state like right now, you're not stressed, your state is normal, you may say, why would I talk to myself like that? And I think that the easiest way I've been taught to say if your negative self-talk is rational or irrational is to flip it around and ask yourself, would I talk to anybody else the same way I talk to myself right now? This is a good check-in, if you will. When you start being too negative, when you're stressed and you start talking to yourself in a too of a negative way. Would I ever speak to like that to anybody else? And usually the answer is we only can talk like that to ourselves. So maybe if you don't want to talk to, if you wouldn't want to talk to anybody else like that, maybe you shouldn't talk like that to yourself either. Cool. And last but not least, way of cognitive that fits into the cognitive way of dealing with stress and anxiety is the gratitude practice. Gratitude, it's such a powerful way of turning away your awareness from the stressor to actually something that is already present in your life, even in the moment of stress and anxiety. That can, again, from the mental, physical, and emotional point of view, turn the tides of that tidal wave of that stress and anxiety that you might be experiencing. So when you're experiencing, just yesterday I experienced this very stressful situation, and I was so much in my head with all the challenge I've been facing, and I tried to recognize what is actually positive in my life, even though I'm experiencing this stressful situation. And it turns out that I was able to find actually many different aspects of my life that, in spite of the stressful situation, I'm still okay with. I'm still safe. I'm still okay. I'm still healthy. I still have a roof above my head. I had a beautiful place. I live, I'm surrounded by nature. And I'm so grateful for it. So gratitude, it's such a powerful way to keeping ourselves sane, but also can be a very powerful way of battling this perceived stress and anxiety. Obviously, there are entire courses written on creating gratitude journals. So if verbal or the inner talk of gratitude is not enough, you can write it down as well in a journal. And when you experience stress and anxiety, come back, open up the journal, read a couple of sentences that you have written. Read a couple of sentences that you have written before, or write some more things that you're grateful for in this very present moment that coincide with the stress and anxiety. So many different things to talk about when it comes to stress and anxiety, but I hope I give you at least a couple of things to work with. Again, breath work, mindfulness, and meditations, including the new recorded guided meditation called Stress and Anxiety Relief. Having those cognitive practices as affirmations. And last but not least, that I didn't mention, seeking support. Even being here today on Insight Timer can serve you as a support to your predicament. And as I said at the beginning of this session, we all experience stress and anxiety, so we should not be ashamed of it. It is simply what it is, and experiencing it collectively right here, right now, admitting to it, can be very helpful. So seek support. Talk to the family, talk to friends. One of the participants, Kathleen, I think it was you, who talked about being anxious in the past, and then through meditations, family, and mindful moments, you were able to get out of it. This is the way. Kathleen says, I teach elementary school, and we begin each day tossing a toy, a ladybug, and saying good news, and the children practice gratitude. Phenomenal. If you have more questions or comments about stress and anxiety, refer to my group on Insight Timer called Conscious Living Collective. You can come and join and continue when the conversation continues. Thank you so much today for your support and your presence and all your comments and your contribution. And now it's time for a short meditation that will give you a taste of the one I recorded for you. The one I recorded contains progressive muscle relaxation. So if you want to find out what that is, I refer you to the meditations I created. But right now, let us just jump in, and just for a couple of minutes, let us sit with whatever there is. And if there's any stress and anxiety in your life right now, perhaps we can collectively sit with it and see how it goes. So we start every and each meditation with bringing awareness to where we are and what is the current situation, what is the present moment right now. And now, for me, I feel gratitude for your presence, for the fact that so many of you showed up to Conscious Living Collective, that so many of you participated in the conversation and make such a valuable contribution. I'm grateful for being able to record those sessions and lead those sessions here on Insight Timer. I'm grateful for my health. And I'm grateful that I live in such a beautiful place. And I recognize that in spite of many challenges, right now, I feel okay. I am surrounded by like-minded people, even though all of you are very far away in many different places around the world. We still can feel the collective consciousness flowing through the ether and connecting all of us. Perhaps the most beautiful application of the technology. Connecting us in a meaningful way so we can feel included and supported and connected. And even though there may be a stress or we may feel anxious right now, we know that this too shall pass. And we take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, letting out anything that may get in the way of our well-being in this present moment. And we simply tune in into the breath that can be experienced as a movement of the entire body. Bringing the energy through in-breath in the middle of our chest and exhaling, moving the energy out through the bottom of our feet. Recognizing that stress and anxiety are energies that can be moved, can be dissipated. And if there's any tension that you recognize in your body, you can deal with it in a similar way. Breathe into it and breathe out through it, letting it go through the bottom of your feet. Constantly moving the energies across your body, bringing your body, mind, and spirit into balance. Letting go of anxiety and stress without trying to deny it, but simply recognizing that this is just one of the way of expressing yourself through your body. Breathing in and breathing out. Finding more and more ease. And finally taking one more deep conscious breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when you're ready, open your eyes and welcome back. Well, thank you so much for another wonderful session of Conscious Living Collective. Thank you for participating and creating space here on Insight Timer. We will return next week, the same time, the same place. If you wish to receive a notification about the upcoming session, just go to my profile on Insight Timer, type the follow and button and turn on notifications. For those of you who want to continue the conversation, Conscious Living Collective group on Insight Timer, the same name, where we can post things and enjoy conscious conversations. Otherwise, I want to thank you again for your presence. I want to thank you for your kind donations. Thank you very much, Seth, for your contribution, donations that will support my work. And I look very much forward to chatting again, covering another conscious topic next week, the same time, the same place. I wish you a beautiful evening or great day wherever you are. Until next time. Bye-bye.